Hey everyone, Kevin here and welcome back to my channel. So a few episodes ago, I mentioned that I should probably make a video talking about my thoughts regarding the whole return to office movement, and I admit I got a little sidetracked, but here is that video. The short of it though, I think it's an entirely misguided thing that is actively hurting the job market. But this begs the question, why are big companies like Bank of America, Disney, Amazon, and X pursuing this course of action so strongly despite it not being conducive to the workforce? Well, there are a number of reasons, but there are two most common ones. The first being many companies seem to think that people are inherently more productive in the office, and two, that they want more control over their workers. And as you can imagine, each of those reasons have serious flaws. To start with, there is literally zero evidence that supports the argument that people are more productive or creative in an office setting. Literally none. And for companies like Amazon or Disney, who literally thrive on the collection of data, you would think that they would understand that there isn't any proving the need to push their workers back into the office. There's just no empirical evidence. And it's been nearly 5 years since the pandemic started now, and we proved while at home that people don't need to be in an office to keep their companies running. I know they'll attempt to make the argument that it was a stopgap measure because they had to do it, but my response would be, well, so what? Necessity is the mother of invention and always has been. And though remote work has been a thing since the dawn of the internet, it didn't really hit the mainstream until COVID forced businesses to invest in the technology to meet that necessity. The world didn't end, guys, either to a virus or needing to work from our home offices. Entire movies were made by animators from home and released online to keep us entertained during that isolating time, and animation is one of the most creative pursuits in the world. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't benefits to having people together in one place, and it's pretty common with remote roles to have that one or two business trips a year to bring your team together to advance projects or observe in office processes more closely. At the time I record this, I'll be traveling from here in California to the Hanger corporate offices in Austin, Texas in just a couple of days for such a trip. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But that doesn't mean I want to go back to the office full time or have a desire to travel for work on a regular basis. Few executives these days really understand just how bad the cost of transportation has become these days and just how much money and time employees are spending commuting to work now. You actually end up with an increased likelihood of your workers getting more done at home because they'll be more rested and less stressed, not having to contend with traffic and the feeling that the cost of gas and car maintenance cut their paychecks into ever decreasing amounts of money. And on top of that, the prohibitive cost of rent, childcare, pet sitting, and food these days. People are desperately looking for any potential way to stretch their finances just a little bit farther now. Work life balance is something that people really want more of to manage that, and sitting in a traffic jam on the freeway for 2 hours on the way home, racking up babysitting costs because they can't get home early enough, doesn't really lend itself to that desired level of balance anymore. And as I said in my earlier video, the businesses promoting RTO initiatives are doing so because those executives grew up in a more traditional corporate working environment during a different era where we gave of ourselves more than we do now. Instead of embracing the changing times, they're clinging on to that old mentality. We're living in a new era where people want more flexibility with their working situations, especially for those of us who are more introverted and who don't thrive as well in some random cubicle on the 15th floor of the office building you're desperately trying to justify the cost of by bringing workers back into the office. Employers who push for workers to come back are going to see more workforce attrition because people can't be controlled like they used to, which was the second major reason why RTO is being pushed so hard. But you know what? People can be just as bored, lazy, and unmotivated in the office as Bob Iger, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos seem to think that they are at home. There's this weird paradox where bosses think workers are less productive at home when employees feel they are more productive at home. And that causes a lot of friction when both of those points are completely ignored. And what's happened in response? People are ignoring or finding ways around those RTO mandates. A survey done in September and October by ResumeBuilder.com showed that 20% of workers would immediately quit if their company cracked down on remote work, and another 33% said they would likely choose to leave as well. And that's over half of the respondents. Others admitted to leaving work early or even getting a colleague to check them in at work while they stayed and completed assignments at home. As you can imagine, those with hybrid work schedules showed the highest level of noncompliance. Bank of America even went so far as to send out letters of education to workers who skipped out on the office like this and warned them that a failure to come in within 2 weeks would lead to further disciplinary action. Yeah, forcing compliance doesn't always create compliance. And even if it somehow does, you're going to create animosity and frustration in your workforce and end right back at the same retention issues anyway. So it's just a stupid mentality. To quote another study, this one by the University of Pittsburgh, workers hate being forced into the office, and companies that did make them do so showed absolutely zero financial improvement at all. And 99% of those businesses saw a sharp drop in employee satisfaction. Mark Ma, a professor at the Katz Graduate School of Business, put it pretty well already by saying, when you force people back to the office, which most people don't like, they react negatively to this mandate because they know they can do the job remotely. As a result, they look elsewhere for employment. And look, if you're willing to lose out on the best talent out there who will be hired by a rival company who treats them better, pays them better, and gives them the flexibility they and everyone else is looking for, I mean, then fine, suit yourself. Just don't be surprised when you see all those people vote with their feet and walk out the office door you forced them to come back into. So, when it comes down to it, the return to office movement is an inherently flawed one based on assumptions and personal beliefs rather than any actual empirical data. The only data we've got actually shows that the RTO movement is hurtful, not helpful. If you want to be on the cutting edge and move your company into the future, then wake up to the reality of the job market now and realize things have changed. Clinging onto the past will make your company either go out of business or limp along, not growing as it could have if you just listened to your employees. I don't really understand why companies circle the wagons and become even more rigid anytime their employees ask for just a little bit more flexibility, even if it's in their best financial interest. If any of you listening can come up with a logical answer to that, please drop it in the comments. I'd love to read it. But with all that being said, I think I can put a bookmark in it for today. Thanks for listening, and please take a moment to click like and subscribe to stay up to date with all of my content. Until next time, I will see you in the next video.